All right. Welcome to, what are we on? July 2024? July 2024 Tempo Community Call. We have some, honestly, I think quite exciting things to discuss today, as well as we broke Helm for a bit, and then some exciting things. So we're going to talk about some new TraceQL additions. They'll be in Tempo 2.6. Pam's going to walk us through those. She's done most of them. And they are also enabled by our new vParquet4 format. And we have some nice support for some OTel features that we did not have support for before. We've added some native histograms, and Yuna's going to review that. I think the PR is up, maybe merged. I'm not sure. He's going to walk us through the changes there. So Metrics Generator will be able to make native histograms, which is cool. Then we'll talk about Helm, because Helm was broken briefly, and everybody loves Helm. And then finally, we have an Explorer app, a tracing app, a queryless tracing experience we're working on top of Tempo. It is somewhat unannounced. It's super secret, so keep it under your hat. And we'll give you a quick preview here and let you see some of the things we are working on internally. So with that, I will open the floor to Jenny Pham, who has some cool things to show.
Hello everyone, I'm here to demonstrate the new ability that we have to search for links and events and spans that we did not have before. So we have a couple of new TraceQL syntax. To search for an event, we simply type the word event, and the intrinsics that we have for events are
Hey, Jenny.
Just let me.
I can't see your screen.
Thank you.
Classic screen sharing mistake. Well done.
I was just ready to go. Cool. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Cool. And ooh, that's not the right language. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Event name. I think in my test environment, the only one right now is under my name. Uh-oh. That's true. Oh, sorry, my mistake. As an intrinsics, it should be a colon, not a dot. There you go. All this, and now you can see events here, and this is searching via the name intrinsics, and we also have the ability to search for events attributes. Unfortunately, I think I made a typo here earlier. There's missing a C, but I think it should. There we go. So we just found. Is my computer freezing up? Cool. And then we just found this span in this event that has a partial match of exception message with index out of that.
Cool. So intrinsic name and custom attributes, and I think a common one is exception message.
Yep.
I guess you had it spelled wrong in your.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. Not sure why that didn't return. I don't know. Is that a issue with the demo, maybe? Like the local Docker Compose? It tends to very aggressively kill traces when it makes them.
Oh yeah, my Docker is going overboard right now.
Sure.
And screen sharing. We also have searching for links, which again we use the syntax of link. What is the? I think I use relationship as my custom attribute.
Oh, I think your screen is frozen, perhaps. Not seeing change.
Oh, okay, my computer is using up too much memory. Let's see. I will close and do it again. I think that usually works.
Okay.
So here is link. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Link relationship. Attributes, and here we go. We found this nice link with the attributes. We are going to make some changes to the UI to support links and events. Right now it's called reference here, but it's actually links.
Cool.
And that's it for me.
All right. Any update on arrays? I think that's maybe some of the last features we're trying to get from Hotel.
Yep. We have arrays. We have a PR for arrays that I've linked in the community call doc. And we also have a ticket for adding instrumentation scope that we will work on very soon.
Oh yeah, instrumentation scope. I forgot about that one. Scope. My favorite scope. Okay. Very cool. So link attributes and attributes. Can you do link like trace ID or link.span
Yep,
ID?
you can also do link.traceid, link span ID. It uses the hex as the input.
Very cool.
Input.
So this is features we scoped out last fall and really have struggled to get to. And the past few months, both Jenny Pham and Adrian Stower have gotten a lot of progress there and have done a great job getting some momentum behind this. And in 2.6, we will have these features available. And then you also noticed Grafana had some squiggly lines and wasn't sure what to do with some of that. So we need some support in Grafana as well. The queries will work, but for ease of use and these things, we'll make sure they're supported in Grafana as well. So very excited about that. A lot of people want to query on these kind of attributes, these kind of features, and myself included. So we'll be able to do some neat stuff with that in the near future. Cool. If there are any questions, you're more than welcome to type in chat. You're welcome to unmute and ask. I'll prompt you probably after each section here. Everyone's welcome to talk, or you're welcome to drop them in the middle while we're presenting. And then at the end, of course, we'll take questions as well. So feel free to let us know, or let us know if you have any questions or thoughts. All right, thanks, Jen. I appreciate that. Great work. Next up, we have Una with some native histogram support, which is a newish, I think, still experimental in Prometheus. Is that true feature? And we are adding support in the metrics generator for these.
Yeah, so the metric generator currently outputs counters and like the classic histograms of the fixed buckets. We're adding support for native histograms, which has just like a lot more fine-grained buckets, which allows you to see like way more, just a lot better resolution. It is experimental in Prometheus. You have to enable a feature toggle for it. So it's kind of like the exemplar storage is also a feature you have to toggle. I'm not entirely sure like how experimental it is, but I mean, it seems to work fine. And it's also supported by Mimir and Grafana Cloud. Basically, what we're doing right now is we're adding support for generating native histograms next to the existing implementation, and you can toggle between them using an override named, I mentioned it here, metric generator point generate native histograms, and you can pick between only generate the classic ones, so the original ones, generate both of them side by side, or only generate the native ones. We're doing this because native histograms have to be queried differently, so it will break existing dashboards and queries you rely on. But by generating both, you can gradually switch them over. And yeah, I think this will be really cool because when we measure span, like when we make metrics from spans, we have very diverse data, right? Like a span duration can be very short or very long. I still want to have good resolution on it. So having fixed buckets for it was kind of a pain. But with native histograms, you can really, zoom in on it and like have like really good resolution, kind of dynamically. If you try this out, feel free to reach out to us via Slack. We'd be happy to hear, how it goes. We're also still like improving it a lot, so expect changes in the next few weeks as well.
Yeah, this was literally just merged, I think. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, so right, it's very much a work in progress, something we're experimenting with internally. And right, I think for 2.6, we hope to have a pretty strong implementation. But it's basically just freshly merged to tip of main at the moment.
Yep.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah, I think especially like for like bigger tenants, we'll have to see how it performs for high kernel these years, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of questions open, I suppose, but we will navigate that and figure it out. And then I think anyone who is aware of native histograms will be excited about, right, the increased resolution. I guess I'm not totally sure about the technology. Is it the same number of series? Is it fewer series? How does that work?
Honestly, it's something we still have to kind of figure out and get
Yeah.
a clear picture on it. I have to like consult with our Prometheus maintainers internally. We already asked a bit about it, but it's just kind of different. Instead of sending series like you're doing with the classic histograms, you're sending a series for every bucket. It's actually not really series, but you're sending a bunch of spans, which is kind of confusing. Not trace spans, but spans from a native histogram. And they kind of say like, oh yeah, this bucket is this wide, has this value, and then like you have the spans indicating the buckets, and then you can also have a span indicating, yes, skip this amount of buckets, like just not send any data. And that's sent through a protobuf format, so it's not a text format anymore. Yeah, I think in terms like active series, it's not always going to be lower, but it's going to be more fine-grained. And we kind of have to like still figure out the formula of, you know, how many active series does this actually generate? What's the impact on Prometheus? But it's kind of, I think it's also something to figure out with Grafana Cloud still. So
very cool.
We should have more clarity about that soonish.
Cool. Very cool. I think we're pretty excited about this one for sure. Native histograms. I think we've had some community requests. We've had some internal requests as well. Grafana as a whole is moving to these. They're just a better technology than the old histograms for sure. And we are excited to write and not have logarithmic buckets or linear buckets or worry about any of that. Instead, you just get solid quantile data. Cool. All right, thank you. If there's any question about that, yeah, feel free to yell. In fact, I should open up the chat in case people have been asking questions. I don't think I have it open. There we go. Helm Charts. A lot of people use Helm Charts. This is a pretty quick announce. Nothing super exciting here, but we did break them pretty badly. And so I want to make sure people are aware of that. 1.13.0, a community member PR'd support for zoneware replication and accidentally dropped in the ingester stateful set, which in Tempo is somewhat critical for doing basically everything. So a new install of the Helm chart or an upgrade would, I'm not sure an upgrade would drop. I don't know the exact details, but basically we were no longer creating the stateful set. And then in 13.2, we fixed it. So if you are upgrading your Helm chart, if you're looking at some of these versions, definitely keep an eye out for 1.13. If you see something bizarre, if you see your ingesters go away or something, or you try to install one that's absolutely broken, 13.2 is the correct version. And of course, going forward, we hope not to break that one again. Very cool. All right. And then finally, we're going to look a little bit at this query list tracing experience. Like I said, this is internal at the moment, but I thought it was a good group to give a real quick sneak peek to. I think we're going to roll a private preview out to a few customers in cloud, then a public preview, and then do a big announcement in a couple months. So expect to see like an open source version of this as well as an announcement soon. But I wanted to show you all, it's a bit rough at the moment. We have a lot to do, but we've also made a lot of progress. And it's at the point where I think conceptually the major pieces are here and what we're going for. So this is a good group to get some feedback from, get some thoughts from, see what people just think about our approach to taking tracing data and turning that into some higher level analytic view where we can find issues very quickly. Instead of looking at individual traces, writing TraceQL queries to find traces, we can instead look at a holistic view of what this data tells us and hopefully quickly identify issues that are occurring. So this is the first screen, and you can see this is all, or you can't see, but this is all tracing data. This is queries that go directly to Tempo, and this is all based on the TraceQL metrics work we've been hard at work on and is improving each release. We can see here, we can zoom in on a couple of different ways to aggregate our traces. So this is rates, and you can see it rates both errors and successes. So the green's happy, the red is sad. You can see like a little, some errors on this surface, and then otherwise pretty good. You can look at errors only. So this particular, I mean, this is all synthetic data, just to be clear. this particular service is having issues over here. We can look at the duration. We have a heat map up here, and we can see quantile P90 down here. We can see latency for individual traces in our applications, broken down in this case by service name. So this allows us to kind of, at an overview, at a holistic level, get a sense of what's happening in our environments, and hopefully identify some issues and jump in. So let's do that, I suppose. Let's look at something. We'll take this duration one. Notice this full traces. We have a couple options up here, but we're looking at basically the root span, the entire trace as one at the moment. So I can click Analyze. And I can see, again, I can break down now by resource and span name, and I have my nice heat map up here that's showing where the traces are landing. So I could, for instance, look at span name. We could look at, well, root name and span name are going to be the same. Status code, doesn't have that one. Status message. We can break it down by any span level attribute, but I think we do need to do a better job of only having perhaps ones up here that are available. But we also have the ability, if you were to select a section, to break down by all attributes, and we can see clearly now in the box, out of the box kind of fit functionality. We can see like the car. So span.vehicle is that attribute. And we can see that the value car is kind of more heavily in the box than out. So the gray is outside, the selection is inside the box. And so this is showing us real quick that between these two values, this one is, excuse me, this one is more occurring more frequently in the box. We can also see that whatever bike is only outside the box. So we're pretty happy with that. Bike is lower durations. And we can see this value, it looks like scooter here is kind of split between the two, but still almost entirely outside the box, so probably fine. And this might allow us to look more closely. We can add car to filter since we have a sense that this might be a problem. We can jump to, in a second, we can jump to individual traces now and maybe use this as a starting off point to do some investigation and determine why this car attribute is associated with my high latency issues. Yeah, so kind of in a way to go about, given a trace at the root, looking at duration, we can draw this box. We can see inside, outside the box, and visually quickly determine maybe what attributes are correlating with my problem. Now, trace data, one of the neat things about trace data is it's highly annotated and structured, and it covers all kinds of elements of our system, right? So it covers cache accesses and database accesses. And so we looked at full traces a second ago, but we can also look at specific things like database calls. So I can see here the rate of database calls across my services and the rate of errors. Let's go to errors this time, perhaps. So this service called the Mythical Server is erroring, looks like about 1 a second or so. So we can go dig into that, perhaps. And similar to before, we can click this investigate button, and it's going to show us, again, inside. There's no box here, but it's showing us like things that are in error, things that are correlated with the error versus things that are not correlated with the error. And so we can see like, okay, there's an error here. It seems to be with my inserts. I have my statement. So this is like this is span name. We see span name. We can see the select is always fine. The delete's always fine. And the insert is a mix, and the insert occasionally is failing. We see a lot of failures here. So again, it's kind of a visual, quick way to scan and see what is going on. Since the statement itself is a value, a span attribute, we can also see here like inserts are failing. We can see it actually seems to be across most inserts. We can see selects are always succeeding. This particular insert into fast cache, is always failing. Insert into payment, always failing. So maybe we want to dig into these specifically, or these inserts also. We can use this information to analyze our errors on our databases from our traces and go maybe find what the problems are. I'm going to show one more feature and then maybe talk about next steps a little bit. The final feature that I think is really cool. Oh, let me go back here to the beginning. So I'm gonna look at full trace errors again. I'm gonna look at this thing. This is errors at the root level, essentially. And this structural tab I'm excited about. It needs some work. Everything needs work. This is very raw experience at the moment. But this tab will show us the hierarchical errors that we're finding here. So we can see this span name, mythical requester is the root. We can see we're calling something called post endpoint, and we can see these inserts are failing. So this is showing us the hierarchical errors down the chain of our traces. So we can, again, quickly identify from root. We have errors at the root. We can see down the chain structurally where those errors are originating from. And in this case, it's that insert, which kind of backs up what we were seeing before. We need some links here badly. I really want to jump immediately, of course, from here to a trace, but I can't. And I'm going to go back to this spans tab. We will, of course, add that soon enough. And we can see here, here's an actual trace. Here's my requester like we saw. Here's my post endpoint like we saw. And here's my errors like we saw. So it's showing me the hierarchical relationships of the errors. So I can quickly identify from this root, dig down my tree a bit automatically for me, and I'll see, oh, maybe this database is having errors, or maybe that particular service or cache or disk or any of the million things that can go wrong in our services. Very cool. So the goal here is to provide a queryless way to explore the data that comes out of our traces. We wanted to focus on an experience that showed you issues instead of showing you traces. So we wanted to show problems, find errors, find high latency, use that investigate tab to correlate, find the applications that are having issues and high latency. And then from there, once you've identified and narrowed down, maybe at that point jump into an actual trace and begin an investigation on an individual trace, or maybe a log signal or some other signal from there to help us understand why this issue is occurring. All right. So like I said, keep it under your hat, please. Super secret. This is where we are now. We really want a couple more iterations on this. We want to get some internal feedback, and we should open source this. We're hoping in the next quarter or so, in a couple months. Don't quote me on any timelines. It's just, but we will be open sourcing this somewhat soon, I think. Cool. Any questions about the Traces app? And then, of course, questions or comments, thoughts about anything in the community call, welcome as well. Knowing which dimensions, I agree completely. Knowing which dimensions to search for in a free-form way will be a game changer. I agree with this. So to look kind of here, if we go to my errors here, right? Even in this app, it's kind of apparent how much better it is to just show that big view. I'm in here and I'm like, I don't know. I'm clicking on all my attributes. I'm trying to find maybe something where I can see, maybe a specific service or clusters having errors and the other one's not. Being able to just say, well, I don't know, just look at a bunch of things is very, very cool. This view is a little rough to me. It's still a bit unclear. I think the team has done an amazing job. It's come so far, but I think there's room for improvement here in terms of taking this to the next level. So it's a little bit more clear from this area where to go next. But I do like how this is breaking down a lot of attributes at once. Like nested set parent, this should not even be there. I don't even know what resource dot blank is. Do we have an empty attribute somewhere? That's interesting. We have some cleanup to do here for sure. But we will get that for sure. We'll get it cleaned up and we'll get it in your all's hands. Oh, here's a good one. So the errors completely correlate with the status code error and completely fail to correlate with the status OK. That's not very useful. Same here. Status unset, happy, status error set. Similar to a Datadog experience. Oh, cool. I've not really messed with Datadog's tracing product. I don't really know what they do over there. We are very happy to offer this, of course, and trying to really build towards that, user experience with a lot of value delivered with the least effort, while also maintaining, like, a lot of power users love TraceQL. I love TraceQL. We want to keep that experience. This original Explorer still exists. Those people who want to write complicated queries still have that ability. Everyone else who doesn't, who just wants to click things and see immediate information, which I do too, also quite often want to just click things and not write a query. this experience will provide that for them. Cool. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, favorite colors, exciting weekend plans? Fantastic. All right. I appreciate you all being here, showing up for the community call. We will be back in a month, and we'll have some new information then, of course. We'll probably be building towards 2.6. We won't have it out in a month, but I think we'll be in the run up to 2.6 in a month. So we'll have maybe some discussions then about what will be in 2.6. And you can expect to see some of what will be shown today in 2.6. So everybody have a great day and a great week, great month, and I will see you in August. Take care.